Welcome back, friends. The First Marian Apparition, May 13th, 1917. It's a Sunday. We recall again Pope 15th. The World War I just didn't seem like it would ever end, and the people were despairing. The Queen of Peace was interjected in the novena, and the litany of Our Lady of the Most Holy Eucharist was an informative idea. The Cove of Peace, Cova de Aria,
Aria.
area.
I think it's Iria.
Aria?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The children heard thunder. Mm-hmm. So all three children saw Our Lady. Jacinta and Lucia could hear her only, and only Lucia spoke to Our Lady. Mm-hmm. So Jacinta and Lucia could hear her. That must be, I have a mistake here. That must be Francisco. They could only hear her, whereas Lucia not only heard but spoke to Our Lady.
Right.
Her first gentle words: the lady was like glass, brilliant rays of color, sparkling glass in about 17 years. Mm-hmm. And she says the same as the angel: don't be afraid, I will do you no harm. And Lucia will say, where are you from and what do you want of me? So that is going to be her initial, that's going to be a standard response to Our Lady. Mm-hmm. What do you want of me? And so the lady says, I am from heaven. And Lucia asks about the two young women who recently died and if they were in heaven. And here's something interesting. One was, but the other had died in immoral circumstances. So Our Lady said she will be in purgatory until the end of the world. So we get some interesting tidbits about, remember Sarah and I, we talked about time and space, and she has, well, I'll let Sarah speak for herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, interesting that she would ask such personal questions about people, and Our Lady is gracious enough to answer.
She is.
Like nothing is. I mean, we're in the throes of World War I, right? I mean, it's obvious that the angel has talked to them about peace, about the reparations that need to be made, but our Lord is never, and Our Lady is never beyond love in the particular.
That's correct. That's correct. We see that heaven and purgatory are real. So right, some will question, was there purgatory? And she goes, well, you know, she mentions it. Then Our Lady will continue and ask the children this important question: are you willing to offer yourselves to God and bear all the sufferings He wills to send you as an act of reparation for the sins by which He is offended and supplication for the conversion of sinners? We have free will being respected, just like Our Lady was asked, are you willing? You know, the children are asked, are you willing? But they weren't just, right? They have had this preparation from the angel in these concepts. And so they were. So she makes known to them to return on the 13th of each month at the 6th hour. 1. Offer to God and accept suffering. 2. The children accepted because they had been prepared properly and with great fruit from the angel of Portugal. And Our Lady said, then you're going to have much to suffer, but the grace of God will be your comfort. That's the difference between someone who has faith and they approach suffering and someone who doesn't. And I had just read some work on Jordan Peterson, and he doesn't have faith, and I'm not being rude to him, no. But that's his statement. Right. And he approaches suffering somewhere between stoicism, right, and who knows what else. Right. But there isn't that grace of God to actually turn it into something redemptive. Right. That's right. That was That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, suffering, as you said, is a great teacher to a willing student, right?
To a willing student.
But really, it has to be a willing student.
Yes. Great light came, and it penetrated the soul of the children, and they prayed the Eucharistic prayer kneeling with this, and it was infused into their hearts. And this is the prayer. O most holy Trinity, I adore you. My God, I love you in the most blessed sacrament. And here comes the first instruction for all of us. Our Lady asks, pray the rosary every day to obtain peace for the world and the end of the war. That praying of the rosary every day is going to be repeated at all 6 apparitions.
Yeah, and I think of how little loved even now the rosary is, right? I mean, even like in some instances, you and I live in a very insular world, right? We can't imagine a day not maybe, I mean, obviously there are days where we don't pray the rosary, right? But we can't imagine a day without the rosary, without having recourse to the rosary, without having a profound love and respect, even if we fail, through a sin of omission or just fatigue or whatever it is, to not do this prayer daily. We can't imagine our life without recourse to the prayers of Our Lady through the rosary. But really, it's very little known. And you had pointed out at the very beginning of the talk that we can't situate this apparition without the historical element of the Protestant Reformation, right? Which sunders Christianity and makes it very, very difficult for the truths of the faith to be dispersed equally and equitably, right? And really, I think that there was a profound rupture. I mean, one of the most profound ruptures, obviously the most profound rupture, was the loss of belief in the real presence of the Eucharist, right? This is a profundity that is almost without prior situation, because even when you had the rupture between the East and the West, right, the belief in the real presence of the Eucharist was never lost. But in the Protestant Reformation, you lost not only the belief in the real presence of the Eucharist, which is barring our Lord's saving grace, is a mortal wound, right? But you also lost the Blessed Mother was lost to almost everyone in the Protestant side. It was the Blessed Mother nor the Eucharist were lost to our Eastern brothers and sisters, but they were really profoundly ripped away from our Protestant brothers and sisters at the time of the Reformation.
And some of them, not in a official magisterial type of thing, but within a cultural and lived out experience, those attitudes have washed right back into Catholic.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
it is.
That's what I mean. We live in a very insular, you and I live in a very insular reality, but we must be cognizant of the fact that Mary is little known. Mary is tragically little loved, right? I mean, and we have such a profound grace that we who live within this tiny little insular land of having recourse to the Blessed Sacrament, of having recourse to the prayers of our Blessed Mother, we have such profound graces that are given to us. But also, like the angel said, what are you doing sleeping?
That's right. What are we doing sleeping? That is a great place to stop. We're going to pick up with the second apparition of June. Till then, my friends, fides et ratio.